I thought I'd throw the stream live to basically talk a little bit about the Esports Awards, because the Esports Awards happened, and I wasn't there. I wasn't able to attend. I mean, I say I wasn't able to attend. I probably could have gone just after the bullshit of coming back from the major. I just didn't want to go through that again. Because it's like, so just for people who know at the moment, if you leave the UK and then come back, the problem isn't in the leaving. The problem's in the getting back. That even if you're a passport holder, they won't admit you as a British citizen into your own country unless you can prove to the airline before you board the flight you have booked a PCR test for when you return and filled in a passenger locator form to say where you're going to be in case you do pop as positive for COVID, so they can check on you to make sure you're isolating. And it's just like, you know, fuck me, dude. Like, 3 forms, really, to get back into Britain? I don't want to be here. You know? Like, I wouldn't fill in 3 forms to get in a fucking Disneyland. Or Disney World. That's the cool one. No one would fill in any forms to get into Disneyland for free. You know, I'm just like, fuck this, man. Like, I couldn't be asked. Especially, you go to America. It's a transatlantic flight. You get there. You do the awards, and then, you know, you probably come back. Although, if I was in America, I'd probably stop out there for a bit and see some folk, and then I'm traveling all over the place. I have to declare every state I've got to. I have to declare every flight I've been on. When I get back, I was like, nah, fuck it. I'll save it. I'll wait until everything's a bit more sensible, you know. But anyway, I was still involved in the Esports Awards, so, because I'm going to say a bunch of things today that maybe not even the Esports Awards people will like. Basically, just to explain my relationship there, apart from giving the greatest speech in Esports Awards history, obviously, which I did do. I'm sort of on the board, of advisory panel, or whatever you would call it. So what I do is every year we do the awards, we sit in calls and we discuss nominations, prospective winners, this kind of thing. And it's just basically, you know, I'm one of the older dudes on the panel, and I've been in esports longer than a lot of people who were there. So, you know, when it comes to like things like Lifetime Achievement Awards or stuff like that, I'm a useful resource because I remember shit from back in the day, don't I? Because I was there, because I am old and a relic of days gone by. That's my role and that's my relationship. They don't pay me for that. I don't make any money off the Esports Awards. And my views about the Esports Awards are on record. You can look it up, but I'll repeat it. Basically, I think the awards are important, right? Because, like, we need to recognize our own, because I'm so sick of, like, our industry craving outside acceptance. I think that's, like, a big problem. I think it's a driver of a lot of negative stuff in the industry, is that we look to, like, the games press, or, you know, Jeff Keighley's here, we're legitimate now. Like, fuck that. We were legit on day one, whether or not these fucking morons were here. So I think the awards are important. What's never important are awards shows. The recognition and the awards are good and important. The shows are generally, in my experience, and this isn't just esports awards, this is any awards show, a bunch of self-congratulatory, masturbatory drivel where everyone with an ego is in a room together, drunk out of their minds, or in many cases coked out of their minds. Yeah, I'm kind of like, yeah, I can take or leave it. I always have fun because I have an ego, and I will partake of legal refreshment to a degree. But, you know, also there's always a number of incidents that always occur at award shows, like from the Oscars down to our thing. They always you always end up hearing these stories after the fact, and you sort of go, good, glad I wasn't there for that. Anyway, I thought I would talk about the awards and give my opinions on them, because it feels like sort of slam dunk content that people might be interested in. It's also super low effort, because it will just be Richard Lewis reads off a list for approximately 90 minutes. And then I'll get Griff to chop it up into a YouTube video and maybe put funny little edits in along the way, and then repackage. So I'm going to double dip on the laziest content imaginable. So, yeah, these thoughts do not reflect the broader thoughts of the board and don't reflect any official stance of the Esports Awards. These thoughts are merely my own and probably will not be shared by anyone. But I am going to give you my honest opinions about the winners and some of the losers and explain my rationale for some of the ways that I voted. I didn't win an award this year. Frankly, it was a disgrace I was nominated. There's absolutely no way I should have been nominated for Journalist of the Year this year. I don't even do anything. Like, I'm a fat columnist. I have ascended to the pinnacle of journalisthood. I'm an editor at large. I do whatever Deserto asks me to, and that's about it. And I think I broke, like, maybe one or two semi-interesting stories. But, you know, not a patch on the other nominees. And I told them, I did say, because you have to submit a video if you're nominated, or a video or like a PDF of all of your things. And my video was just me saying, I don't deserve to win. Please don't vote for me. It's embarrassing to be nominated for this award. Here's all the garbage I've done this year. It's all opinion pieces or shouting into a webcam. That was the video I submitted. So, because, you know, it's the truth, isn't it? So, and I was worried because, you know, you get, when you have like name brand recognition, sometimes you just get given shit. You know, I was talking about this with a colleague the other day. You know, there's a lot of egos in our industry, and a lot of people think they're entitled to awards. You know, my first real award, I did win some of those Turtle Entertainment, Turtle Rock or whatever. I can't even remember what the fuck it was. The old DSL awards, essentially. I did win Scene Journalist of the Year, I think, a couple of times. Or was I just, no, in fact, was I just nominated? Can't even remember. They were all bollocks anyway. And, you know, so to put it in context, I didn't get a real big award of any kind or any form of sort of industry recognition until 2016. And I had started in 2005. So, you know, you never heard me bitch about it. Because awards, at the end of the day, you can have 10 awards on a shelf, right? If your work's bollocks, everyone can see it. You know, so what's the point? Yeah, Turtle Beach. That was it, mate. Turtle Beach. Yeah. I got fucked out a few of those probably, but again, I just don't care. I really don't care. Industry politics was a bit more cutthroat back then. So look, just before we talk about the awards and I give my thoughts, two things that I want to talk about, and I suppose I'll just get the bad one out the way, right? The first thing was we did it, Reddit. Right, we did it. We managed to have probably the worst musical performance of all time. I think we surpassed DJ Khaled. This, I warn you, is a minute of unadulterated cringe. And whoever decision, I don't know who this was, don't know whose decision this was to do this. It's bad, guys. I won't full screen it, I don't think. But, you know, this is sort of the equivalent of Tim Westwood turning up to a children's party. Is the sort of, you know, that's kind of like the level of cringe we're on. It's already a cringe-worthy act to begin with. And the setting is also completely inappropriate. And no one is into it. It really is. It's spectacularly awful. So,
everybody at home streaming. Everybody.
Right now, I just want to remind. Oh Lord! I just want to remind everybody. By the way, this is an awards ceremony. People are sat at tables waiting. You know, they probably just finished their meals or still waiting on some of the courses. Maybe they're sipping a glass of wine. You know, so just putting that into context.
Everybody at home streaming, everybody in here right now, let's do it like this. London, Paris, Berlin, New York City.
Now, just, right, geography has never been my strong point, to be fair. But this event is in Arlington, in Texas. So, you know, probably worth a mention. But, you know, just whatever.
Everybody in here right now, let's do it like this. London, Paris, Berlin, New York City, Brazil, Mexico, Los Angeles.
So then what he did, you see, he ran out of cities. He ran out of cities. And he just started saying countries there. He just started saying countries there. There are, now listen, again, geography isn't my strong point. There are cities in those countries that he said. Perhaps most embarrassingly of all is the fact that he didn't remember Mexico City in Mexico. But anyway.
Angeles, Boston! Everybody, if you at home streaming live right now, you're going to act like you here in Arlington, Texas.
He got round to Arlington, Texas. That's good. The other thing I will also mention is this is an award show. I was watching at home, but at no point did I feel compelled to sort of get up and jump around and dance, because it's an award show, isn't it? I'm just watching that to see who wins, so I can sort of have an informed perspective on the current landscape of our industry. So at home, I definitely am not going to be jumping around. It's a completely inappropriate thing to be doing while I'm watching what is meant to be an award show, isn't it? Maybe I could have been cajoled into jumping around at the awards themselves, but as you can see and will see, no one does it either. No one really does that.
Everybody put your hands in the air!
Now this is because remember, I'm a media student, which I don't know if I've mentioned that on my stream before, but I studied media, right? And this is what we call in the media world a juxtaposition. And a juxtaposition is sort of when you have two things and you place them side by side to create. So the two separate things, when placed side by side, give you they convey a greater message than they would individually. Particularly this is done where you'll take something, like you might have a picture of like a king, right, and he's eating a turkey or something, making it sort of current to today. Some of you have eaten turkey, so you can relate to that. That's another media student trick that I just did. But anyway, imagine there's a shot in a movie of a king, right, and he's eating a turkey, and then it cuts to like a dead, dying, rotten bird in a gutter in the street. And what am I really saying there with those two cuts? Why have I chose those two images? Am I saying that, the greed of the wealthy king is leading to the death on the streets? Probably am, aren't I? Because I'm a lefty, so probably am saying that. But, that is what happens there is, in that instance, unlike this one, that's deliberate, isn't it? I've deliberately done that to make you feel something. What happens here with this juxtaposition, and again, I'll just show you, This is Clinton Sparks. And he's dancing, isn't he, you see? He's dancing. I think he's dancing. Not really a lot of space for him to dance, but he's dancing. And then you see it cuts to a room full of people that, much like myself, are staring in what I presume is horror and embarrassment. And so, if this had been deliberately done, this would be a very intelligent meta commentary about Clinton Sparks and his career, wouldn't it? It would, if this was a scene from The Office and it was David Brent on stage, you would think this was the height of comedy. But it isn't. None of this was deliberately done. And so what this juxtaposition leads me to conclude is that this was shit.
Sports Awards, let's go! Have a good time.
That was the act, by the way. I'm sure he got paid a lot for that. I don't know why, but you know, the entertainment industry has always been a bit of a mystery to me, despite my media student bona fides. So yes, I think that is the worst musical performance at an esports event ever. It barely qualifies as either music or a performance, but it does just enough to leapfrog DJ Khaled. And I know everyone talks about that one at LCS, but as far as I could tell, that was just, you know, they were vibing and the band wasn't great to begin with, and they tried to do a vibed version of a song that nobody knew anyway. And it was a bit whack. But there was way more talent on display than that, wasn't there? So that, hands down, the worst I've ever seen in my time in esports. Perhaps we can give an award out for that. Oh, yeah. And while I don't like to be rude about my friends, I will say that flashbang dance performance at the major made me sad. It made me very sad. But, you know, if you like that kind of thing, cool. So, there was that, right? That's not even a drama, is it? That's just me having a bit of fun. This was drama. So I'll talk about this, because you're not supposed to talk about this, because I'm supposed to be in on it, aren't I? I'm in on the conspiracy in the old boys club and all that. I am the old boys club. So this is a tweet from Jake Lucky, who obviously is the greatest journalist of all time, that never to touch esports. And what he's done here is, while the esports awards, just before the esports awards were happening, he dug up a clip of Courage, the 100 Thieves influencer and former host and commentator in Call of Duty. Although I'm saying former, I think he still does that. And basically, there was a clip where Courage had said previously that he was essentially told he was going to get an award if he attended. He didn't attend, and the award went to someone else. I won't paraphrase him. I'll just play the clip.
Interesting. They kind of pissed me off too last year, because they told me I'd win an award if I went, and then I didn't go, and I didn't win an award because I didn't go. I didn't win the award. Like, yeah, man, you should probably come here because there's a good chance you'll win something. Wink, wink. And then
they told you?
Yeah, and then like I didn't go, and then the award got given to someone else.
What the fuck? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said it, but now I'm like kind of
They didn't even ask for like, you know, a little acceptance video, like, you know,
Nope.
Jack couldn't be here today, but you know.
I got like a DM. I don't know. I think I'm pretty good at speaking to other people and can read the room in a lot of situations. And I got a DM that was like, "You should trust me. The trip will really be worth your time if you come here with that award." Wink, wink. And I like couldn't make it in the last few days. And then next thing you know, the award. I was like watching the award show, being like, "They didn't ask me for an acceptance speech. It's kind of weird." And the award came up, and I didn't get it. Go grab my food.
So I have been involved. I think I've been involved with the Esports Awards since its inception. I have given them a lot of feedback in the past about how we do things, and you know, I'm trying to keep it on the rails from it going the way of all award shows and it becoming a cavalcade of, as I said, self-congratulatory cringe, glorified popularity contests. You know, I want the awards to have some gravitas. We might be past the tipping point, if I'm honest with you, because they always end up that way. You know, it's like, yeah, just think again. I just compare it to the Oscars in your head. Think about all the great movies that never won when they were like nailed on the best movie, or all the great directors who directed the best movie that year never won. And then, you know, everybody also knows that good causes and good messages in movies do well, or how, like, there was that weird fucking trend when all the feel-good movies that came out, you know, post 9/11, they all got Oscars, didn't they? Like Chicago, that god-awful musical, has an Oscar for best movie because everyone just wanted to feel good again. Sort of like Halle Berry in Monsters Ball. Straight fire reference for those who've seen it. But anyway, the idea that we were ever sort of, you know, kind of like giving out these awards based on whether or not you turned up. I can speak to my own experience in this regard. I've obviously been nominated, I think, every year the awards have existed. I've won 2 awards. I accepted an award on behalf of Valve, which I'm sure they love that being a reality. So I've been up on the podium 3 times. So even on the years I won and even on the years I lost, I was always told the same thing. It's worth your while to come because you're essentially in the running to win. And I think they say this to everybody who is in the running to win. But it's also sort of, if we're just honest about it, they want the big names to be there, irrespective of whether or not you win, because having a camera pan through the tables and you see all these luminaries and big name influencers have actually bothered to attend, it gives weight and credibility to the awards in the first place. So I think what happened here, basically, they said to Courage, like, hey, you're in the running, and keep in mind there's a people's vote and then there's and then the panelists vote. And we try and get all of the votes in early, so we can do the runner show and we know who's won and everything. But I think probably what happened here is they were just like, we really want you to attend, and you are definitely in the running. It might have been when they tallied up part of the votes, some of the votes, I don't know, or just they had a good read on who was likely to win based on the conversations we have in private when we're deciding the awards. I don't think it was sort of contingent on his attendance. And certainly I have been told the exact same thing, and then had someone whisper in my ear, Richard, the next award is Journalist of the Year, you've won. And I've also been at a table when Thorin won, after I'd been told the same thing. Yep, you need to come because you're in the running to win. So I don't think there's anything weird, fucked up, or malicious to that. I'll also just add, I am reliably informed that the reason Jake Lucky wanted to make this point is that he was super ass pained about not being nominated for anything. So, you know, I don't know him, nor would I talk to him if I did. But this was sort of his way. You know, because what you'll find out when award season comes rolling into town, everyone who gets nominated is like, oh wow, this is a deep honor. This means so much to me. It's just an honor to be on this list with all of these names. And then when they don't get nominated. These awards are a fucking sham, aren't they? They're a sham. In fact, look at this old clip of someone saying what a sham they are. It's like, guys, just keep it consistent. Keep it on the down low. For me, it's all about the work. It's always has been. My metaphorical, my metaphorical psyche penis doesn't get hard over the prospect of winning awards. It gets metaphorically psyche penis hard over doing good work, breaking a big story, seeing it go across the industry and change things. That's what I enjoy. And as I said at the start, you can have a million awards. It doesn't mean shit if your work's garbage, and everybody knows it, by the way. Everyone knows if you're an award recipient and it's empty and meaningless, it's just most people ain't got the fucking balls to tell you. So, let's do it then. I will give out my thoughts now on the winners and the losers. I will skip over some of these awards and just talk about the big ones, because, some of them I struggle to have a really informed opinion on them. So here we are on the Deserter website, for which I am the editor at large. And let's start with Esports Organization of the Year was 100 Thieves. And they beat out the likes of G2 Esports, who I think obviously are right up there. They beat out the likes of Overactive Media, which are like the parent company for like Mad Lions and the Toronto Defiant and the other Call of Duty franchise whose name escapes me right now. They beat out NRG. They beat out T1. Beat out TSM FTX, that you have to call them now because of that crypto sponsorship they did, and 100 Thieves won. This was a tough one for me because 100 Thieves, it when you think about it purely in terms of esports excellence, it's not really, is it? They don't win a lot of things. They don't have, and they have been responsible for what I consider one of the great sins in our industry, which is the merging of influencer culture with esports, this conflation of the two, which utterly destroys the importance of esports for the purists like me. But while I understand, is also a necessary evil in some ways, because it makes it more accessible to the Zooms. But one of the criteria for this award, right, and it explicitly says it in our little handbooks we get when you're on the panel and you have to make a decision about voting. It's marketing is a huge part of it. And in that sense, how can you say that 100 Thieves aren't the most successful esports team from a marketing perspective by a million miles? I really like G2 stuff. They do great work in that realm. But the reality is, 100 Thieves have done shit, that I just couldn't believe. Like, you're seeing Courage with Ariana Grande and all this type of stuff. Their activations are unbelievable. Their merchandise is really good and sells well. And they have a reach, considering they're a young org as well, very young and very new. They were created by Nadeshot not that long ago. I think they've only been around 4 years. I think he said in his acceptance speech. It's hard to argue with 100 Thieves winning it, but I think I voted for them. I can't remember now. But the only other one I probably could have been persuaded to vote for would be G2, because they sort of do have a greater degree of excellence. But then if you look at the G2 teams, the league team fell off, The CS team was like perennially third place or runners up, and not even for the entire year. Honestly, they're probably deserved winners there for me. And yeah, 100 Thieves obviously won their LCS, so fair enough. Streamer of the year, this was Ibai, a Brazilian streamer, I believe, not somebody that I watch a lot of because I'm not fluent in Portuguese. So, seemed to be, Spanish, is that correct? My bad. I'm not fluent in Spanish either. But, yeah, he's massive. He's got a huge following. I've never watched a single thing by him. But, there's a huge international community. We have international representatives and people who are definitely more informed about it, as you can see, because I incorrectly labelled him Brazilian than me informed the awards. And I think just in general, there wasn't a name that sort of like leapt out of the page that should have, beat him to it. Obviously, Dr. Disrespect is on YouTube now, and he's had some good, again, like activations, good presence. His return stream was one of the all-time, big hype moments and stuff. Summit, I got nothing but respect for him. He's like the consistent streamer who is always he is the exception that proves the rule, because if you go and look at 2015 and 2018 and then 2021 and you look at the top 10 streamers, all the names will change bar a very few, and Summit's one of those guys who's just always there no matter what he's doing, whether it's GTA roleplay or Sea of Thieves or Counter-Strike. He's also a genuinely nice guy and seems to be a very relaxed dude. He's a name that he's always going to get nominated, but might never sort of have the big moments that are going to make him win it. Courage in there. Obviously, the timing was terrible for Valkyrie, because she had all of that drama around that makeup line that they've now spiked, got rid of, which I still think was just a storm in a teacup, and a sort of attack on her, essentially. That was it was so overhyped, but that seemed to deeply affect her, and obviously there was a lot of negative press and whatnot. Nick Merckx is always killing it, isn't he? Shroud, since he's got back, but yeah, I mean, seems to be a fair distribution of the award. Now this one I do disagree with. The Esports Team of the Year was Atlanta FaZe from the Call of Duty League, and they did have a great year, but for me, there were other teams that were definitely more deserving. And what I'm about to say will probably surprise some of you, because when we were having to give our talks about who did well, I was one of the people that was speaking up for Shanghai Dragons in Overwatch. And if you go and look at what they did over the course of a season, didn't drop a game in the regular season. I think they won the 3 sort of mini seasons they had. They were undefeated in playoffs. Didn't drop a game in the final. That type of domination doesn't really happen in esports at all. So they were one of the teams that I made sort of an impassioned speech about, and they absolutely deserve it more than Atlanta FaZe. PSG LGD were another team that I spoke up for. I know they didn't win TI. I still think runners-up at a TI makes you one of the teams of the year. But, if you look at their performances at all of the tournaments in the regular season, how consistent they were definitely in the discussion. The Na'Vi one was sort of up in the air for me. Na'Vi CSGO were another team I strongly felt could have been for this, because we hadn't had the major at the time we were doing the panel discussions. But they'd been winning all of the tournaments. They were clearly the number 1 team in CS. They'd clearly surpassed Gambit. And it was really just those first 3 months out of the year, which is really 4, because awards are obviously given out at the end of November. So you include the previous December, and they weren't the number 1 team in the world. They were flopping then. But I think overall, I'd probably take them over FaZe as well. Maybe that's Counter-Strike over Call of Duty bias, I don't know. I was very surprised to see this one. Sentinels, had they won the last big one, maybe, but they didn't. Remember, they got eliminated by Envy. So, not for me. But, yeah, I kind of felt that this missed the mark for me. And I don't like anything that lionizes FaZe, as I think they're a fucking cancer in our industry. The entire organized... I know Atlanta FaZe is operationally distinct from the FaZe brand overall. All of that bullshit. Anything with the FaZe logo on it, anything with the word FaZe on it is a tumor that needs to be excised from esports for me. So, when they won it, I think fair enough, the players did do a great job and they do deserve it. But I think you could make compelling arguments for any of the other teams that I, talked about. And certainly Shanghai Dragons, you might never see, and I know it's Overwatch and I know it's a meme, but you might never see another Overwatch team do what they did. It's very reminiscent of sort of like the NIP streak, but the difference being that they did it in, not at the start of the esport. They went from being the meme that couldn't win to being the team that couldn't be beaten. It's a really cool story. And whatever people say about me, I don't let my personal biases, I try not to let them inform my voting. And so I'll make a case for an Overwatch team if I think they've truly achieved excellence. And I think Shanghai Dragons, you might never see another Overwatch team do what they've done, and it's a shame that they missed out, honestly. Esports PC Player of the Year. This was interesting because, for me, I was like, guys, there is only one name, isn't there? Shit, now we get to the other drama. I forgot about this. I wasn't expecting to talk about it, but we will. For me, there was only one player that could win this, and it had to be simple. There was, I think, a lot of talk about TenZ. What TenZ has done in Valorant is absolutely unprecedented. I talked about it a little bit with Sean Gares in that interview that I put out today as a little Thanksgiving gift for my American brothers and sisters. Nobody could have foreseen how good TenZ was going to be, especially considering the CS career and all the raw tools. But the key difference is, unfortunately, as good as TenZ is, when Sentinels, win, lift that trophy out of nowhere, and TenZ absolutely carries them in every game, he has had the occasional bad performance. He has had the occasional tournament where he's been a little bit more quiet, and basically Simple doesn't do that. Simple just has been, Simple has been Counter-Strike Jesus for like 2 years, maybe 3. He's on another level to any player I've ever seen, probably in any FPS. In the history of my, in all my esports lifetime, I don't think I've seen anyone up to the level Simple is in this game right now. And I've seen some greats down the years in, Quake, seen people in, in Call of Duty Pro Mod, like, Legendary Sniper Stevie. I've obviously seen all the Source players, all the ones that transitioned into CSGO. I saw 2013, 2014 NIP with Forrest and Get Right. I saw, Olaf and Crims. I saw Cold Zera and Fallen and Fur. Yeah, I've seen Guardian. None of those guys come close. They don't. That's how mad it is that all of those names I've just listed don't come close to the skill ceiling Simple is operating on right now. And a shout out to Cooler I see in the chat. I interviewed Cooler. I used to run a Quake Live when Quake Live first came out. I ran a Quake Live website with a guy called Leo, and we interviewed Cooler for our launch day. Cool dude and a fucking absolute beast. But Simple is the greatest FPS player I think I've ever seen on PC. So I don't know what else to say. I hope that isn't CS bias. I don't think it is, because I've followed a lot of games down the years. I just think we are truly blessed in the same way that if you got to like live through a Maradona, or or a Pele, or whatever your sport is, or a Brady, when you get to live through that era and watch these guys play, you don't really realize what you're witnessing until sort of at the end when they retire or they fall off, And we're watching that in Counter-Strike, a true Michael Jordan of the game. And a player I know we said in 2015 who's going to beat these Swedes, and then the Brazilians came along, and then we said, well, who's going to beat these Brazilians, and then the Danes came along. Like, guys, I didn't even list them in all the great players. Like, just ignored Astralis. Maybe I am biased after all. The reality is, I don't even know how it can get higher than this. If it can, fair enough. But it'll surprise this old man. But anyway, the reality is, when Simple won, he had to give a speech, like all winners do. And because a lot of the awards these days were sort of given out, and what you were meant to do was record an acceptance speech in advance and submit it, which, by the way, I didn't do. I just referred them to my earlier video saying I don't deserve to win and not to vote for me. So that was I said, for my acceptance speech. As I also did say, if you put a mic under my mouth alive, what I would do is I would universally condemn the treatment of Uyghur Muslims in China and demand that the big games developers take a stand up for human rights. So if I pre-record that, you wouldn't air it. It's a waste of everyone's time. So let's just not do that. And by the way, 100% that is what I would have done. And next time I win an award, whatever that may be, that is what I'm going to do. So, spoiler, if I ever win anything ever again, that's just what it's going to be. So, because I don't give a fuck, it's the truth. So yeah, I'll just never win an award, will I? I've condemned myself. But anyway, Simple had to record a speech, and I gave him a nudge because obviously I know all the players. And I know people think like, oh, you and Simple don't get along, because Simple said some stuff about you. That's all just internet chatter. And the bottom line is, when we're all in a room with each other, we all get along. We're all Counter-Strike at the end of the day. We all know each other. We all know what the game is. I've got to say things on a podcast to be interesting, generate debate. I've got to write opinion pieces. He's got to go and be the fucking best player of all time. And anything he says certainly resonates. And he certainly is entitled to his opinion, even if his opinion is, I am a clown that isn't entitled to talk about the game, right? He's the greatest player of all time. I'm the greatest journalist of all time. It's go crime. It's all fine. I would never condemn him for that, and didn't at the time. At the end of the day, I reached out to him and was like, same thing. I think there's a very high chance you are going to win this award. So can you record a speech? And well, he did, and he sent it in. See if you can spot the problem here.
Hey guys, thank all of you for your huge support. I'm really proud to be a part of esports community, and with our effort we'll make the esport even bigger. See you at crowded arenas.
Now, I don't know what went on there because it doesn't sound like Simple's voice to me. And Simple said they must have dubbed it, which certainly on first appearances it is. So then he uploaded the original and asked, what didn't people understand about it? And so,
hey guys, thank all of you for your huge support. I'm really proud to be a part of esports community, and with our effort we'll make the esport even bigger. See you at crowded arenas.
It was either altered in some way or edited or dubbed. And listen, that is just, I don't know why they did that. There's no need. I'll say this. One of the things that I know it's Thanksgiving, and, listen, I celebrate it because I've lived in America and obviously have a lot of American friends and colleagues. And by the way, it's a great holiday. And by the way, any excuse to eat a ton of meat and carbs and, fall asleep in front of the TV watching football, which, by the way, I'd rather get gaped than watch the Raiders right now, which is why I'm streaming. So, it's a great holiday, right? It's a great holiday. But I'll just say, Americans, I'll go big head for this. Americans, if you are going to police the world in more ways than one, not just militarily, but culturally, you are going to have to wrap your head around Eastern European and CIS region accents in 2021. You're going to have to learn. You're just going to have to learn to use your ears and listen to them and understand them. It's time, America. I don't want to see... It's not Ivan Drago in Rocky IV anymore. You've had plenty of time to catch up. Stop doing it. I'm going to tell you, they fucking subtitled Guardian in E-League. You know, had that nonsense where they wouldn't hire Yanko because they thought his accent was a bit too thick. And now what's happened here is, you know, I guess to edit his speech for the American ear, one way or the other, they've essentially, first of all, insulted someone. But, like, people don't know Simple like I know him. In person, he can be quite a shy guy. And it took him a long time to sort of come out of his shell and start speaking in English. He still is a little bit like, oh, my English isn't very good. He's got that sort of, you know, similar issue that Kenny S had for years, where Kenny S could speak fluent English, but was always convinced it wasn't good enough, so he wouldn't speak it. When you do something like that, right, like, it's personal. They're speaking a second language. They're already, you know, desperate to be understood. When you do shit like that, it's just whack. So don't do that, Americans. It's your bad that you can't. You know, the rest of Europe, we just get along with it fine, right? Our country, or our continent, and all the countries made up thereof, not just the ones said in the musical performance. There are many accents and many languages, and yet we all manage, you know, through the commonality of English, generally. And it's about time you joined in. You know, if you're going to tell me whether or not I can have a fucking Twitter account or a YouTube channel, it's the delicate American sensibilities that are going to dictate that. You know, might be time to be like, well, all right, you can keep your accent, and we're not going to fucking subtitle you or dub you. Ridiculous. So that was whack. As well, but he did win the award, and good for him. Yeah, and I agree. There's a guy there in the chat, man like Paradise. It's harder to understand a Scouser. Absolutely bang on, by the way. And that's just a regional accent. So Simple won PC Player of the Year. This one was a no-brainer too. Simp winning Controller Player of the Year. Won't bore you with the details, but probably should have had it the year before as well, if we're honest. But yeah, no doubt about this one. Simp is just, you know, unbelievably sick, like at Call of Duty. By the way, he's got a bannable Twitch name, hasn't he? So I better be careful. Hopefully context will save me. Probably doesn't, because even though context does save you, according to the bow tie man, the truth is, in reality, it never does. And Americans don't even care about context, and haven't for approximately 6 years. But yeah, being called simp is obviously, you know, one of those hurdles we'll just have to get through. But certainly a worthy winner, a fantastic player, and obviously was the guy that was spearheading the Atlanta FaZe to excellence. They won Team of the Year as well. You know, he was instrumental in that. Best player in the league by far. So, Esports Personality of the Year. This was, you can see, a lot of people were nominated for this one. And Nobru got it. I said Nobru, didn't I there? It was probably Nobru. I think I've got confused because I think he's the big Brazilian guy. But you can see, you know, Hex was in there, Ocelot was in there, Perks was in there, Fulham was in there, Nadeshot was in there, Golden Boy was in there, Shocks was in there, Intero was in there. You know, probably a worthy winner, not an award. You know, when I vote for it, I think Personality of the Year, I sort of look at, you know, my internal criteria. I look at things that people might have done. I look at reach. And then obviously I have to be extra mindful of people I might not, you know, content I might not consume because of the linguistic barrier. Seems to be a winner that was awarded. Now this was one of those awards, you know, it's always contentious, isn't it, every year. You think you Redditors have it hard with your endless posts about how Semler is bad, but you can never qualify why or how, except to say, I think he's fake. I don't even know what that means. You're all morons, and your opinion, thankfully, mercifully, doesn't count for shit. Keep making those threads. Keep typing it in Twitch chat. I can't imagine how much of a loser you have to be in a game to type, I don't like this caster. Like, fuck me. Get a grip. You are beneath the people that spam PogChamp. That's all I'm saying. right? This one is always hotly contested and is always coloured by knowledge of the game, not from the play-by-play, but obviously from us. Do we follow the game? How much of it do we listen to? The best casts of the year, another aspect of it. You might be a good caster, but then you might do one that's so like elevated above and beyond, iconic moments that, you know, you would be in contention for this award. And, you know, there's names there that I just think do, you know, definitely deserve to be on there. I've already said Pansy's a future Hall of Famer on previous streams, so don't need to go over that. I think Quintero is in Rainbow Six is fantastic, definitely worth a nomination. Machine having his sort of, you know, first full year where he gets to stadiums and all of this stuff. Certainly lived up to the occasion at the major. OD Pixel is one of my favourite play-by-play casters in any esport. And in terms of talent, Uber is sort of the forgotten man. Like, any of those guys could have won. I'll say Captain Flowers. I should mention that as well. I think Captain Flowers is fantastically talented. But I will say this, for years and years, Miles Ross has never had the shine he deserves for the talent that he is in Call of Duty. Like, I think this guy is so fucking good, and he's just had to sort of sit and be behind, you know, everyone else that wins all these awards. And listen, I know it's like blasphemy, but I do watch a little bit of the Call of Duty League, and it's because of guys like this, because I can appreciate what they do and how they tell the stories and how they do the craft. And this motherfucker's been doing it for time. And yeah, the problem was there was always bigger names. Yeah, like see people in the chat talking about, you know, Maven and stuff like that. And it's like he's always just had to be the guy who everyone knows is actually sort of goated, but doesn't have the reputation to just, you know, pull out. He's the guy that's just behind the pace setter in the race. And now it is his time. He is the voice of Call of Duty, and he's fucking sick at what he does. So, yeah, I was super happy to see this award. He's a cool dude as well. Just a great contributor to esports. So very happy about that one, even if it comes at the expense of some personal friends. Many friends on that list. Miles Ross definitely deserved it. Wouldn't grumble. Esports PC Rookie of the Year. Oh man, this one was crazy. Because, first of all, remember, the major hadn't happened at the time. We had to submit sort of our speeches about who deserved it. And we also had a sort of huge discussion around, what does rookie sort of mean? Is it like your first year? Is it your first year in a new game? Is it the first time you go professional? So even if you've been playing for 10 years on like the amateur circuit, it's your first year in a professional team. All different sort of criteria, and we were all battling back and forward. And I knew this one is always a contentious award because of this broad criteria about what a rookie is. See, for example, somebody in the chat has typed, Tens isn't even a rookie, which is sort of technically true, right? But also sort of isn't, because it's his first year. Well, you know, his sort of first entire year without a break for streaming or any sort of retirement. You know, it's the first time he's had a run in Valorant. So for me, there was a lot of debate about whether or not he should be on this list. For me, he squeezed through. And then also, right, Shiro. When I put Shiro forward as a guy that needs to be on the list, a lot of people were like, oh, but he's been in Gambit for like 2-3 years. And I'm like, yeah. But they played in that academy side, and then Gambit, this was his first pro, you know, team when they got rid of the youngsters, even though it was effectively the same roster, just, you know, with Hobbit added. And this is their first full year. And so Shiro definitely, you know, was in contention, even though I don't think many people would have thought of him as a rookie. I'm sure he himself probably doesn't think of himself as a rookie. But fortunately, in the end, all the debate and all the noise and all the bluster, it didn't matter, did it? Because Bit emerged as just being the most obvious winner of the award, especially after the major. Possibly the greatest rookie of all time in CS. So, there we go. Nice and easy in the end. I was very happy to see this award. I was like one of the guys, I think, again, I gave a little speech about why it should be bit, and said that if he has a good major and Na'Vi win, as I expected them to do so, it would hands down have to be him. You know, that was the way it went out. So not really much to talk about on that one either. This, I think, upset a lot of people when Monkey Moon won. I saw some stuff on my timeline, like Call of Duty guys mostly saying that a Rocket League player, you know, shouldn't be winning this. And I mean, I don't know about that. Like, I try and follow Rocket League, even though they absolutely still despise me over there in Rocket League, because it's just, you know, I know why. It's 13 to 18-year-olds who are, like, still in school. And they're like, why can he say what he wants on Twitter? Why can he argue with people? Because I fucking earned it, motherfuckers. I get to say what I want, and you have to fucking just simply take it. There will never be any repercussions. You can lobby anyone. You know, I know there's this, like, fiction about, oh, G2 had to drop you. We just didn't agree to renew the contract the next week, you know? But they all still love me over there and would hire me again in a heartbeat. It's just one of those things, you know? That was just showed how stupid and immature the community is. Not me for arguing back with a bunch of cretins. I'll never stop doing that till the day I die. Internet rules are for idiots. They don't apply to me. I reject them. Anyway, I'll just show you for a bit of context if you aren't familiar with Rocket League and Monkey Moon. This is his results page from Liquipedia in 2021. And trust me, this guy is fucking sick, right? So you can see over the course of the year, you know, all these are regional events. These aren't as important, but when the S tier events come, you know, it's first A tier event here, first A tier event here, first S tier event, you know, won the EU major, you know, runners up right the way through, had another the runners up at the European Championship. Like, the guy's just fucking ridiculous, and you gotta remember, he's just a fucking kid. He is just a kid, and is at the start, you know, of his professional career. So I mean, for me, like, I thought that was an easy one, you know. Yeah, he's like 18, 19. So, you know, I think that's a pretty easy one. Also, sort of came out from nowhere. I know there was some people that were like pulling for Dries as well because he's 15 and he's young, but he's nowhere near the level of impact or performance yet, as you would expect. You know, I'm sure he's going to do good things over at G2, good environment for talent to develop. But I mean, I was all right with this one. Coach of the year did go to the Shanghai Dragons coach Moon. This was a hard one for me because, you know, there were a couple of names on the list that definitely were in the equation. Contrary to what people might think, I did speak up for Blade, and I did put forward a case for him in the awards. I also did jokingly submit Hunden, and I was like, so how it works is you sort of submit names you think, and then relevant to your expertise, you're then asked to speak to the group about it. So you do a little speech, a little prep, you know. And I jokingly put names who deserve to be on it, and one of them was Hunden, right? And obviously, not everyone on the panel knows about the drama. And they're going, next up, it's Richard to speak about Hunden. I'm like, oh no, it definitely isn't, mate. You should probably just Google that name. That was just a friendly joke. A friendly joke. So that would have been chaos. Ruin the awards for everybody. But yeah, anyway. I mean, this, for all the reasons I said about Shanghai Dragons, I think you've got to give it to Moon. I still think they should have won Team of the Year. But Blade as well, he was in contention. I mean, the problem he's always got is that Na'Vi roster is so good, anything other than first place, anything other than being in the final, maybe, is failure. And that's the standard that he's had to live by. And if you apply that standard over the course of the year, it probably should have won a little bit more before they found their groove. Now, I know he did change things tactically. I know the addition of Bit to the roster really changed the dynamic. Xtaz couldn't make this list this year because, let's be real, if you go and look at Vitality's results, I know it's all contextual. I know he's a really good coach. I know he has a great understanding of the game, but the results aren't there to justify his inclusion on this list. So no, I didn't put Xtaz forward. I won't talk about Mobile Player of the Year. I don't know the first thing. Now this, we get to just an insane stacked award, don't we? This is a really tough one. This is like one of the most stacked categories. You know, when we were going through the list, like obviously it's one of the hardest ones. Puckett's going to be on there every year. He's active. I'm trying to think what names I specifically put forward. It was Zoe, Shiva, Golden Boy, I think, Stunner, Dash. I did a lot of talking in this one because while I'm not nominated, you know, I have been a host. I believe I have some insight. Shocks she'd already been nominated and obviously was a guaranteed nominee. And I think I put Freya on my list, but for whatever reason she didn't make the short list. Which, listen, all the names that are there, because I really like Veli as well, by the way, even though I think it's such a hard award to win every year with all the names that make it. But I think I did have Freya down on my list. But remember, it's not just how it works is you put a name forward, you talk about that name, and then other people sort of have to agree or not whether they're going to be on the final list. You know, goes across all of the panel. For whatever reason, Freya didn't make the cut this year. I'm sure she'll be on next year. But I wouldn't call it a snub. A snub is when you definitely deserve a nomination. I'm not saying she definitely didn't. I'm not saying she definitely did. For me, she definitely did, but not everyone's going to share that opinion. And some people will have different knowledge of the games and have watched more broadcasts than me. It's like, I really like Wave Punk as a host, and he's a guy that's always going to get on this list. He does great work in Rocket League. He's a cool guy as well in real life. I had fried chicken with him and argued about whether Atlanta or Texan fried chicken is better. He says Texan. I'm a big Atlantan fan. But anyway, this, Shiva for me, if you go and watch the hosting she did around the Annie Major and all the shoulder content she made, definitely deserved recognition. Zoe is too good for the Overwatch League. It blows my mind that, if I had someone as talented and intelligent as her on my show, she would be a part of everything I did. She would be the face, she would be the voice, she'd be doing the commercials. I'd find every excuse to use her and have her on air as much as possible. She was recently as well, she was in a pretty bad car wreck, but her and her husband are all fine. They're not hurt or anything. So, but I just think she's awesome, and she's someone I think has just a super bright career. When you know talent can go outside of esports, I think that's when you're really talking about the truly great, hosts or commentators or whatever it is. And this is why this is a stacked fucking category, isn't it? Because, Puckett has done that and will do that. His career is going to be on the sidelines at the NFL or something. Maybe even UFC. Who fucking knows where he could go. Golden Boy has done it and continues to do it. Hosted the awards this time. He's just one of the greats, one of the most versatile. Put it this way, anyone who can effortlessly segue between stage host and desk host is god tier. I can't do that. And Stunner, it was, because I put Freya down and Stunner. That's a tough one, I mean, I think he's, going to struggle this year, but it was important that at least somebody like Freya or Stunner got on the list for me. So I made sure that they were both there, and I know I'm leaving out, Milosh and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, look, Dash is someone I've really grown to like. I think his hosting is really, really good. You couldn't have had this list without him as well. Phenomenally talented. And yeah, in the end, I think Shocks, I think it's back-to-back awards for her. And it's so deserved, man. She's like so good. I'm super psyched because we're talking about doing an episode of the podcast together. And she's going to be a guest on the Richard Lewis show when our schedules permit us to do it. And I think that's just going to be such a great episode and a great talk. Like, all of the stuff I've seen sort of thrown at her online really puts like my shit in perspective, and yet she constantly goes back and will do these things that require courage to do, like taking weeks of dance classes so she can do a choreographed routine for a short little intro to the LCS, a little bit of fluff filler content. She's so fucking good and so brave in the type of stuff. Like, I just wouldn't do that. I remember when E-League came to me and they said, do you want to do the mannequin challenge? And I said no. Like, I just that's Zoomer shit. I won't do that. But in reality, there's always a voice in the back of your mind that tells you, you're gonna look like an idiot. And it's the mad, mad world of being the face of a broadcast. And Shox does it with grace and talent and ability. And like I say, real bravery. She never says no to anything that they ask her to do. She knows it comes with the territory. And so, great to see her win the award. And honestly, if a Dash had won it, or a Golden Boy had won it, or a Veli had won it, or a Shiva had won it, or a Puckett had won it, or anyone on that list wins it, you go, okay, yeah, they did do great work that year. It was easily the most stacked category by like a million miles, and like Shox deserves it. But anyone, like say, you could have picked another name, and I could wax lyrical about how amazing they are. That is a tough category. I'll also just say as well, because I didn't get a chance to talk about it because it happened at the major. And, like, obviously, me and Chris are pretty tight. I consider him a friend. But, obviously, he's just good people, regardless of whether or not I sort of knew him and had worked with him. And, obviously, his mother passed away recently, Linda. And that happened at the major. And it was sort of one thing that we didn't really talk about. I was thinking about saying something on the broadcast because people probably don't realize she came on the road with us when we were on the road with Chris. So when we did E-League, his mother was there all the time. Linda was there all the time. She used to regularly get us food. She used to give us back rubs because she was like a masseuse. She used to give these legendary back rubs. And if you were a bit tight or a bit tense, I'm talking like on a physiotherapist kind of level. And she would do all of that. And so she was with us all the time. And she was just such a really nice, cool person. You knew immediately why Chris was so wholesome and such a great guy. And she'd been battling with cancer a while. And, because she was always, smiling and super upbeat in the pictures and had a social media presence and was, like, still active right up until she passed. I've made this, fucking error of judgment before. I sort of didn't reach out enough and say to Chris, like, can I help? Because I just assumed, like you do, she's going to get better and, there'll be more time. And it just really, really sad. It happened just before Thanksgiving, obviously. Chris has just had a kid as well. Just the run of emotions that he's gone through lately. And so, I wanted to say something on the show, but I sort of decided against it on the basis that, maybe it's not appropriate. And I'm hoping to get hold of him soon and talk about it privately, because I know it must have been a really tough Thanksgiving for him with everything that's gone on. But, the guy is just one of the best human beings you could ever meet. And his entire family I'm from a pretty fucked up, dysfunctional family, as long-time viewers will know. His family is just the nicest, like genuine, most wholesome, generous, giving people, and Puckett's the same, and you can see how much of that comes from Linda. So I was really sad about that, and you know, he's just a great dude, and she was a truly great person. Then we move on. We get to Esports Journalist of the Year. Esports Journalist of the Year. Always contentious. The one thing I'll say about this award is that there's all different types of journalists, isn't there? And we all get lumped in together. And I can never influence this award because I'm always nominated. And actually, a reason I would have liked not to have been nominated is so I could have spoke up a bit more about this award, and actually steer the voting and give bigger opinions rather than just points of information. But I can't, and this is going to be because I'm a winner of this award, a 2-time winner, and obviously it's my expertise, and I got entered into I received a Lifetime Achievement Award for my contribution to esports journalism. Obviously I know what I'm about to say will carry weight, and when people see it, they might get a bit upset or whatever, but fuck it. These are my opinions, and in the same way I would not begrudge you yours. If you have earned the right to them and they are informed, I certainly hope people would feel that way about me. So for this award, there's immediate thoughts, which are Kevin Hitt winning it. I like it. I think he was a worthy winner this year. Not everyone in journalist circles shares that opinion, by the way. In fact, out of all of the awards, can you believe it's the journalist one that is the most bitchy and the most fake? Where everyone says, like, oh, you know, I hope you win. And then secretly what they do is they go behind the scenes and they like, fucking hell. How the fuck can that person even be nominated? You know, it's like really bitchy, and it is the worst one out of all the awards for fakeness and drama and childishness. Now, I know why this is. It's because to be a good journalist, you have to be mentally fucked. So I've come to realise it about myself, that so much of what makes me an arsehole makes me good at this job. And so as a result of that, a lot of us are really emotionally, how shall I say, erratic in different ways. And so, you know, I've come to make my peace with that. And I'm older now, so some of the more erraticness has, you know, ebbed out. Not all of it, but, you know, I'm comfortable with who I am. I have reconciled my nature. So, in general, this is the award where people do get pissed off about it. This and Coverage website are the two. Like, I remember one year, when ESPN didn't win it, ESPN just left. They just fucked off. They were like, yep. Well, if we don't get our one award, we're out. That's how much we enjoy being a part of this lovely industry. So, you know, and ESPN, dead now, of course, the ESPN Esports. So, you know, that's the level of petulance that I always see from this award. Yeah, so anyway, Kevin Hitt. I've known Kevin since he came into esports. He's been in a while. And for me, he's the type of journalist I like because he is the grinder. He is the guy that consistently puts stuff out every day. A lot of it requires investigation. He's done big investigative reports that people don't remember because Kevin Hitt is new in esports terms and maybe doesn't have that stature or pedigree. And basically, he was the guy that did that whole expose on the H1Z1 League, if anyone remembers that. All him, all original work, huge story. He did the Optic and Envy merger. He broke that, I think. He's done a number of stories this year that definitely have been some of the bigger stories that require investigation. So this guy is also a journalist who, at his publication, which just merged with Sports Business Journal, he's behind a paywall, which isn't great for your readership numbers. But if you've ever worked at a publication, when you get put behind the paywall, that's when they know you're the hot shit, because people are willing to pay for you to read your work. I think a lot of people didn't like Kevin Hitt as a winner for this one. I think that's sad. He's an older dude. He's been around the block. He's had pops at Thorin in the past. They've squashed that beef. I worked under him at VP Esports. He was a good editor and a nice guy to work with. And like I say, he's a guy that is just passionate about what he does and tries to do good work. And it's good to see people like him get his shine. So Kevin Hitt, definitely, I'm all right with him winning. Here's what I will say. Theon on fire. He's got to get one year, hasn't he? Because he's in the fucked up world that he's just a great features writer. He just writes really good feature-length articles about players, player history, opinions, his thoughts on the game, what's going on. But he even did break a story or two this year, if I remember right, including them moving the location of Worlds in League of Legends. I think he did actually scoop that. So, there are more strings to his bow. He's one of the few people over at Upcomer I actually rate. He's got to get one year. It's just so because I can't imagine what it's like for him to do. Well, I can because it happened to me. So I can, and not only can I imagine, I don't need to imagine. So I don't know why I said that. I can imagine and recall when it happened to me. If you care about awards and care about if you translate the award as a recognition from your peers and the only metric by which that recognition matters in your mind, doing great work consistently for 4 or 5 years and always somebody else winning, it might start to prey on your mind a bit, Adam Fitch would also have been a guy I would have been happy to see win this award. I think Adam Fitch, now, obviously, again, you can take any of my views on this with a pinch of salt. He does work at Deserto. But I think Adam Fitch is a guy that does solid, consistent stories. He's broke stories like the hilarious fuck-ups at Guild Esports and all that stuff. He's done, he's also one of the guys regularly does great numbers for us over on LinkedIn. He does the kind of industry story. So I really like his work. He's really good. He's got a great fucking head on his shoulders. Very level-headed. Sees through the bullshit. Was calling out the award ceremonies for the conflicts of interest as he perceived them. Like a sponsor giving out an award to a team they sponsor. Yeah, not great optics, and he doesn't give a fuck. So I like him. I fuck with that attitude. I think that's the right attitude to have if you wanna do good work in this business. Because if you're not fearless and you bow when you scrape, you are a shill and not a journalist, and you'll fall into the trap of doing the shilling and try and retroactively convince yourself, this is journalism, it's fine. Jacob, of course, is going to be there every year. One of the best active journalists we've got. I don't need to say too much about Jacob Wolf. A list without Jacob Wolf would have been a travesty. And then we get to the weirdness. I'm happy with everyone that's on the list. But I'll just say there was a couple of bits I didn't really fuck with. First of all, I'm going to just say this. I know it's super unpopular, and it just, people are gonna howl, oh, you're a misogynist or whatever. I hope people realize it's certainly not about that, because even though Liz Richardson is a beat journalist in Overwatch, I talked a lot about the type of work she did and made sure she was included on the list. I was like, no, trust me, that she is breaking good stories. She's got co-bylines with Jacob Wolf, for fuck's sake. So, it's good work, and it deserves to be looked after. I'm sure she thinks I'm a piece of shit, and obviously she's a beat reporter in Overwatch, so we're not going to have a lot of overlap. But yeah, I mean, Ashley Kang, for me, I think we're really, when you talk about interviews as being journalism, for me, they got to be a bit more hard hitting. They got to ask difficult questions. I don't consider like post-match interviews at events to really be journalism for me. Now, she won content creator, but I saw her on the League of Legends subreddit, everyone was going, it's a travesty. She's a real journalist. It's like, fuck me, you kids will never learn what journalism is. She's never going to do an investigative story. She's never going to break news. It's not the type of content she does. And winning content creator, even though I don't agree with that either, frankly, is a concession. Because realistically, how can she be Journalist of the Year? I don't even think, on just a raw assessment level, I don't even think her interviews are that good. Now, I will just add, I think me and Ashley have had like flare-ups on Twitter, because just to let you know, she was one of the journalists like Travi Gafford, who, funnily enough, wasn't on the list and never should be on the list. She was one of the journalists that went to the Reddit moderators, the same Reddit moderators that are banning journalistic articles and demanding journalists reveal sources to them in exchange for having their content be allowed to stay up on the subreddit, because they want to have power and influence and get to talk to important people because their lives are tragic and empty. Ashley is one of the people who went to them because her videos were getting removed or whatever, and basically said, what do I have to do to keep my content up on the... I'll follow any of the rules, please, Reddit. I just want to make it. Now, listen, I get it. It's your hustle. You got to get that recognition, make that money, have those opportunities. But actively working with people that would fuck over journalists doesn't make you a journalist in my eyes. It makes you an enemy of journalism. And it should be disqualifying, frankly. That's how I feel about it. I also do want to note that she was working with that fucking Corey Lulu moron or whatever, the guy who made a bot that basically submits all League of Legends content that they like up to the subreddit, essentially an automated submission, which, by the way, back in my day, I was told any form of, bot-related submissions from publications would get your publication banned from Reddit. So, fuck all of that. But certainly the worst part for me is if you go to those Reddit moderators and basically are willing to work with them rather than telling them you are internet fucking janitors, you don't get to have editorial input over journalistic work at a publication you do not work for, you fucking deranged losers. If they are not the words that come out of your mouth, then I got a problem with you, unfortunately. I can't get past that. I told people 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I've been saying it for years, that subreddit will only let you submit shit if you play ball with them and give them the illusion of importance. And the content creators that do well on that subreddit are the people who value the clicks over the work. I can't fuck with that attitude. I just can't. And I told people at the time, you're going to end up in a position where eventually they'll have the delusions of grandeur and they'll start doing it to more and more writers. And lo and behold, it's happened to Thorin. Lo and behold, it's happened to Jacob Wolf. Lo and behold, those guys, because we didn't have a unified front when I got fucked over, because I'm abrasive and not very popular or likable or whatever, they got away with impunity and did it to other people's. Same way I said, listen, you can be on Riot's good side today. That can flip on a fucking dime. None of it matters. You pander and placate them, and then they turn around and fuck you over. And guess what? Travis is doing his big huffy post about, yeah, well, actually, Riot Games are not working with journalists and denying us access and not giving us press. Yeah, all right, Golden Boy. All right, fucking Riot PR division, Travis Gafford. You had fucking more privileges than anyone else of the journalists. And when journalists were being actively fucked over by Riot, you said nothing. In fact, you implied that they deserved it on some level for not playing ball with the company. Now, unfortunately, as I said, the true offspring of Travis Gafford and all the fucking foulness he has brought into the world of esports journalism, unfortunately, in my mind, and it could be biased because we've had a couple of arguments on Twitter or whatever, it's Ashley Kang. She's next in line to have Travis Gafford's throne. I can't fuck with it, guys. I'm sorry. I just can't. I just won't. So, anyway, the other thing was, I saw a lot of League of Legends people saying Bloop should have won it. Right. Let this old dog tell you about esports journalism one more time. Right? He is a roster guy, and only a roster guy. Now, listen, there's nothing wrong with being a roster guy. The reason there's roster guys in League of Legends is because of me and Jacob and Josh Raven. That we made the team at Esports Heaven. We did it. We did the first ever roster mania season in League of Legends because people didn't do traditional sports reporting in League of Legends. They wrote what Riot wanted and nothing else. Nobody did investigative journalism. Nobody did even roster moves. Now, it's an integral part of the season, and people like Bloop and Esports Maniacos and all these other people, they all get to do it because we went through the fucking pain, and man alive was it pain. Let me tell you, when you're doing roster moves about how Alex Itch is leaving a team, or how Froggen doesn't want to play with whoever the fuck it was at the time, right? And there is just a port, right? You get downvoted to 0 and just 1,000 comments calling you a liar and a cunt, and that saying that you deserve to die because it's an anime and Froggen would never want to leave his friends behind. And then 3 days later, the roster move comes through and nobody says a fucking word about it, and then you've got to go back and do it again. We did that so we could normalize sports reporting in League of Legends. Jacob will tell you, Josh will tell you, it was some of the worst because you were dealing with children. These were children, and children don't know boundaries. So the shit they would say and the frequency with which they would say it was maddening to adults. So we did that. So I've got no problem with being roster moves. But I'll also tell you the truth. It is the lowest hanging fruit on the tree of journalism. It is right down there. There's a really complicated 6-month investigation, so delicious, like a mango. But I can't reach that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and just have a grape from the fucking stump of the journalistic tree. And let me tell you as well, right, the roster moves, right, the first 4, 5, 6 are hard. You've got to get in, double check, make sure the source is good. It might be the first time you work with a source. You could get burned. You have to check with secondary sources. Your source network might not be good. Every time you put it out, you know the org's going to deny it. The player's going to deny it. And also, contracts can collapse at the last minute. So you're on fucking tenterhooks every time. I used to be sick to my stomach doing these roster moves. Because if at any point one of the moves didn't happen, my career's over. That's the standard you live with in esports. It's mental because if you think about sports reporting, it's just like a sports journalist goes, well, you know, I interviewed the physiotherapist's wife from Chelsea and they said that Ibrahimovic was in the other day, and it wasn't. It wasn't Ibrahimovic. He was never there. It was just a really tall man. Right, and so, but fuck it, that's the standard, and it goes out, and it's all bollocks, and it's all lies, and no one cares. They don't even deny it. No one denies it. And, you know, that's the standard in sports, in esports. One wrong roster move when you're coming up, unless you're one of these anonymous bullshit Twitter accounts, and you're fucking gone. Basically, you know, the first 4, 5, 6, I get it. It's hard. But after that, do you want to know the truth? You'll never work for another roster move again. Never. People bring them to you. It's esports, for fuck's sake. A secret's worth nothing anywhere else. You know, a secret's worth fuck all. They come here and they just go, oh, we're doing this move. Managers, coaches, players, hangers-on, you know, people on Discords, fuck, you know, it just comes so easy. It's why I stopped doing them. I just broke, like, it's looking pretty likely Nitro's going back to Team Liquid. I just throw that out there on BTN now. I don't need to write it. I'm sure Desert will fucking hate that because they like the traffic. But I can't go back to that. It's because people just tell you shit all the time. And the person who's telling me, I know they're right, and they're telling me, and they don't want to look stupid in front of me. So it's easy, but I just don't want, it's just beneath me, honestly. Like, I know it sounds like arrogant as fuck, but I wouldn't want to be out there hustling to get every roster move in a League of Legends season again. It's not a point of pride for me. Been there, done that, proven I can do that. Could do it again. There's bigger fish to fry. The stuff I really rate is investigative journalism, and Blue Paint done a stitch of that. So there was a tweet that came across my timeline. I think it was Bloop, so apologies if I've got this wrong. But I think they said something like things that had happened to me like this year or whatever. And it said lost an esports award or something like that. And I was like, what the fuck? You never won it to begin with, bro. Like that's like that level of entitlement when you're literally just cutting your teeth at the start of a journalistic journey. You might be a lights out journalist. You might shit all over me 10 years from now, but you ain't there yet. And so you got to pay your dues and do some really big stories, you know. And it's like saying, oh, fucking Perks is going here or Bjergsen's going there. It's fuck all in the grand scheme of things. So all of those people that were like outraged that Bloop didn't win on League of Legends, it just shows that some things will never change and that world is never going to truly understand journalism and journalism that has value. But generally, those are all my thoughts about that. George not being on the list maybe was a bit of an oversight. But, you know, same thing. He's a Valorant beat journalist, learning his trade, doing roster moves. So, yeah, you know. Notes and Mira, you know, yeah, Notes, I like him. I'm trying to think of a big story he's broke. He's super consistent. He was obviously there on the match fixing stuff, but I think that happened last year, technically, didn't it? Or when did we break that? I can't even remember, mate. It's been a long year. But, you know, he maybe could have got a nod for that. But I think he's in the chat on the reg. He'll probably admit, you know, he's still on the come up as well, and his best work's ahead of him. Mira's sick. I like him. He's done a ton of stories. Obviously moved from HLTV to Desert, where he works as an editor now. The interviews he's been putting out are super good, but, you know, maybe just misses out by virtue of the types of story is broke. I mean, put it this way, like, yeah, they could be on there, but I look at that list, and that is definitely a good list of people who deserved to be potential winners. It's just like the reaction to Kevin Hitt winning it is like fucking crazy if you you know, if you don't go and look at his work. So collegiate ambassador, I don't know, Doug Haskell. I threw him a follow after this play of the year. This award's just stupid and they should just get rid of it. It just generates too much anger. People just get upset. And the one that wins it isn't even like top 10 plays of the year every year. They should just get rid of this altogether, you know. Like, I mean, whatever. There's just no objective way to do it. Like, for example, people are like, Cadian should have won it, but but I even know that isn't even the best clutch this year. Refresh's clutch against Liquid is better, and the stakes were higher. So it's not even the best heroic clutch. So, you know, that shouldn't even be on the fucking list. So You know what I mean? It's like people thought Duncan was joking when he said that like Cadian wouldn't even be on like that clutch wouldn't even be on the top 10 CS clutches of all time. People don't realize like if you go and look at some of these insane clutches that have been down the year, it's actually legit. I could maybe sneak in at 10 just to pay lip service to it because it was an interesting clutch. And then yeah, different games. You know what I mean? Like, what if there was an RTS on there? I mean, they're all dead, right? But what if there was an... How can I compare a ballsy fucking probe rush to cheese a StarCraft final to, you know, a CS clutch? How can I do this? I can't do it, right? So, yeah, I mean, this is a stupid category they should get rid of, personally, I think. What else do we have? So, yeah, okay, Esports Game of the Year goes to Valorant. I mean, this is also a very strange award because you're sort of having to acknowledge which game had the best year relative to its previous years and all other games in terms of what they did this year. And that includes leagues, tournaments, competitions, how widespread and ubiquitous it is, you know, content, number of players that have taken it up. It's like, there's so many metrics that go into this. And then obviously, of the year implies like recency, doesn't it? Now, obviously, like, for example, CSGO is a better game than Valorant. Objective, no, in my opinion. But, you know, CSGO can't win Esports Game of the Year because we all went online and didn't do a lot, and we actually went backwards a little bit until the major, right? Dota 2 being the game of the year. No Valve game can ever win because they don't fucking support their games. Not to mention, TI, the crowd was cancelled at the last minute. It was essentially one of those online LANs. You know, for the early part, and then they were in an empty stadium. It pales in comparison to previous TIs, even some of the very early ones that were just way more hype. So Dota 2 couldn't win it. Overwatch, I mean, shit. What do you want me to say? You know, I can say it, but man alive, you know, even making the list is fucking crazy. So you probably do have to give it to Valorant by default, don't you? Almost. It's new. It's had emergent growth. It's had a number of LAN events. They've been mostly successful, with the exception of the American Last Chance qualifier. You know, everyone was losing their mind at the first one they had in Iceland, and they went past 1 million with the co-streaming and everything. So, you know, it's had a breakout year. It's got widespread support. It's got loads of players playing it. It's huge in emergent regions like Brazil. So, yeah, I'm all right with Valorant getting it, honestly. And I know Free Fire, yeah. That's that knockoff of PUBG. So, Video Production Team of the Year went to G2. Esports Creative of the Year went to Thorsten Denk. Esports Publisher of the Year, here you go. Here's one that I care about. Riot Games. Now, here's the thing, guys. This list stinks. They're all awful, aren't they? It's like literally, right, if I told you, and human rights abuser of the year, and I showed you that list, you wouldn't even blink, right? You wouldn't even blink. You'd be like, yeah, it's a perfectly valid list, right? So, how the fuck do you even assess this, like, internally? And and we'll just go down, and fewest number of women abused in the workplace award. It's like, holy fucking shit, you know? So really, you know, really fucking crazy to sit here and say Riot deserve it, because it's like, how can you say it's Valve? You know, remember, it's Esports Publisher of the Year. How can you say it's Valve, you know? What was that? Hey, CS fans, here's a content patch for you. Oh, what is it? Something sick and new for the game? We're putting stickers of a rival FPS in the game that you can put on your guns because their game is so shit it will never challenge our game. Bye. See you in 6 months. Bye. Like, this can't be real. This can't be how you treat one of the biggest esports properties in the world. But oh, you do. So nah, Valve, never. No fucking way. There's no way. Not getting my vote. Epic Games. I mean, you've taken 2 huge properties in Fortnite and Rocket League and done fuck all with them. I mean, do you remember how Fortnite was going to become the biggest esport? And hey, look, we're hiring Nate Nanzer, and he's going to preside over all of our, Fortnite, and we're going to create a tournament circuit. And it's going to be $100 million. Where is it all? Where is it all? Where's it gone? It just they haven't done anything with it. Instead, you just watch these shit online qualifiers for like their World Cup, where it's like someone just blatantly aimbotting, just griefing, and everyone's like, well, we don't have an anti-cheat, so can't be Epic Games, can it? Right? Garena, yeah, someone in the chat knows about that story. So whatever, and I don't like them as a company in general, given their track record, because I'm old school and I know that track record. EA, right? EA, Esports Publisher of the Year. Have you seen what they've done to FIFA? Have you seen how little prize money they throw at something that could be a huge esports property? Have you seen the outrageous decisions they make, where it's like they ban prominent players based on absolutely like fuck all? Like, someone spits on an EA logo, right? You can never compete in FIFA again. Even Riot Games are going, oh, that's a bit much, isn't it? It's a bit strong. And they banned someone for a year because they criticised the skin. So FIFA and Madden, despite having huge player bases of fucking running the ground, they do Apex as well. Yeah. It's there, isn't it? It's in the same place that like PUBG is. It's like too alive to die, but too dead to truly live. It exists in that mad esports world. Psyonix, Rocket League, I suppose, whatever. Tencent, right? Obviously the parent company, Riot Games, own everything, but are they? They're not really an esports specific publisher. It's like the games are an esport. And obviously, as well, and now a Tencent executive comes up to the podium. There will be no questions about what's going on right now because the Chinese government fucked them big time again. If you saw that story, by the way, where they're not allowed to create any new versions or upload any new versions of their app, so they can't update anything. Ubisoft, scandals up the ass, and everybody in Rainbow Six acknowledges that it has got worse, not better. It's an esport that's on the cusp of true greatness, but the decisions they've made around like game balance and game content have taken the esport back. And the broadcasts are good because they got a super talented bunch of individuals that work the broadcasts over there. But it succeeds despite Ubisoft, not because of them. And then, Activision Blizzard, the optics of that are great. And now Bobby Kotick comes up to the stage. I just want to say, respect women. And off he, there's no fucking way. There's no way. So, fuck all of that. Keep in mind, surely one of the metrics has to be, how do you treat your fucking employees? At least Riot Games have sort of turned a corner on that. At least their lawsuits are coming to an end. Activision Blizzard are like, oh, another one? Oh, okay, yeah. Fuck that. Just fuck all of that. So yeah, Riot Games sort of win it by default, really. And also, look, okay, oh, go on. It's Thanksgiving. I'm feeling charitable. Obviously, they've ran a number of events, including Worlds, with a crowd. They've put out a bunch of really successful esports products. The production value on the LCS and LEC is out of this world, and it shows how hard they work on it. It's got a level of polish that not many esports broadcasts have. They do good work there. I don't think it was this Worlds. I think it was it last Worlds? They actually did it with a crowd. Anyway, they did a crowd event, a big crowded event in the middle of a pandemic, and no one got sick. So, just saying. Anyway, on we go. Esports Supporting Service of the Year went to Discord. We're probably going to break these awards up a little bit because supporting service is so vague, but everyone uses Discord for everything. But it's like you've got a piece of software running up against like a PR firm, a talent agencies, lawyers, pugging services. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to create one for like supporting software and supporting services or something like that. So, mobile game of the year, Free Fire, yeah. Good job. There's content creator of the year. Off that list, maybe I don't even disagree with that. Whatever, she makes a lot of content. It enriches a lot of people's lives. A lot of people like it. So there were some names that should have made that list that didn't. But, out of that list, yeah, maybe Ashley does deserve it. I don't know. I'm all right with it. Content series, metagame, that documentary is pretty sick. And then here we go, Colorcaster of the Year. I don't think I can play. Can I play that? Because it's Sponge in a bath. Well, am I violating the hot tub rules if I play it? I don't know. But yeah, basically Sponge gave his speech while drinking wine in a bath because he's just crazy like that. But Sponge won. And you can see here, I mean, again, great list of names. Worked with a lot of these guys, know a lot of these guys at Launders, Sideshow, Sage Jam, Chance. Obviously, the problem this year was the tragic passing of Kickstar, which, the problem with people on the internet is it's perfectly okay to say that Kickstar deserved it, because in my world, I think he did, it was, for me, it was between him and Sponge. Some of the shit people said to Sponge after this was outrageous, and all he's done is win. And it's just sad. Like, I know emotions run high. It was a terrible thing that happened. He was so talented, and it's going to take a long, long time. I mean, so impactful and influential. It's going to take Rainbow Six a long, long time to sort of bounce back and kind of get over the void he's going to leave. And obviously, there's always an aspect, well, it would be nice, wouldn't it? Like, to pay a tribute. But I don't know. Awards are awards, and sentimentality sort of doesn't enter into it. I would, for me, I like I say, it was between both him and Chad, and the reaction around this was really sad to see, because it's like nobody. Like, I know it's an open wound right now, but like, don't invoke people who've tragically passed away well before their time to sort of justify you being an abusive piece of shit on the internet. It's like, there is no excuse for it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel Kickstar could have easily won this award too. So good. And obviously the tragedy is Sponge will be nominated for many more years, won't he? And Kickstar won't have that opportunity. And that's really sad. So I don't know. I understand why some people in the Rainbow Six scene felt this was a snub. Obviously, there were a lot of people who articulated that in a professional way. Some of the fucking plebs on Twitter were just outrageous with this stuff. But to speak of the positives, I thought Sponge, obviously, he's done great work this year. He's risen to the top of the game in a very short period of time. And I'm always super happy that he decided to give it a go, because, as I said, I remember distinctly, and you can go and pull up the tape and go watch a very early episode of the Richard Lewis show I did with Chad. It was when he just retired as a player. Basically, I think they got banged out at Columbus. I think it was. So it was like 2016. And he was devastated. He was getting wrecked online. He'd been told, he's a terrible player, terrible IGL. He felt like he'd let down all of the guys, and he was just gonna basically walk away from all of CS. He was really despondent at a bar. Me and him were just alone, like away from everybody else, having a drink, and he said, "Fuck it, mate. It was a good run. I've been in esports for a lot longer than I ever thought I would have been. I was there in CGS. I got to travel the world. I've made money. I'm just gonna fuck off and go back to being a plumber, because that's what he used to do." And I was like, "Brother, listen, it might be the time to hang up the mouse, but you got a fucking brain in your head, like." Me and Duncan and people like that, we're the analysts now, but it's like we're keeping your seat warm for you. Like, if you come and be an analyst, you're going to shine. And I talked to ESL, and ESL brought him in as an analyst originally, and obviously the rest is history. The guy is the pinnacle of Counter-Strike thinking. He's up there with any analyst we've ever had in the game. He's up there with any color commentator we've had in the game. So seeing him win an award is, fucking sweet. And sweet for me, because I've known Chad since he was a kid. I remember him when he was the star player in Source. The brash brat from Australia that used to trash talk and get all the frags. I remember him then. And obviously, we've stayed friends all that entire time. And I watched him grow up to be just an excellent human being. So, I'm happy. I'm happy for him, even though I understand, why anyone would be upset. I think this is the last award worth talking about, actually. Esports Analyst of the Year, and it was Cadril that won it perfectly. This is a good award. I mean, first, can I just say, Moses being on this list, and we've already joked about it, is a fucking disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace because he spent 9 months of the year as a coach. Now, Moses is a great analyst, but, he's a great analyst and a great guy to have on any broadcast. But, we were joking about it at the major. He was like, "Thanks for putting me on that list, Richard." I'm like, "Fuck me, mate. If you'd have been in the call, you'd have heard me saying, like, get this ball fraud out of here. It's fucking, it's obscene." So that was ridiculous. Sean Gares is in a bit of a strange place because he doesn't want to be an analyst, doesn't think of himself as an analyst, has done analytical work in Valorant, and it's very good. For me, this is like a really tough award, because I want to say like good things about Reinforce. I think he's like become an integral part of the broadcast, and he's very comfortable in who he is and how he articulates stuff now, and he knows his shit and he knows what he's talking about. Over in Overwatch, Emily Rand is great. I really like Emily, and I always feel she just suffers a little bit from because she doesn't put herself out there in the same way a lot of online personalities do. She just does her work and gets on with it. People always think about it after the fact, so it's like, oh yeah, Cadril won. Oh shit, yeah, Emily Rand did a bunch of really cool stuff. So I think Emily's like super fucking cool and super talented, and again, definitely could have been there. I know everyone was like talking about Kyle. Everyone knows I like Kyle, but he's done that thing as well where he split analytical work with casting. I think he's another guy that he does more casting now than the analyst stuff. But Kyle, for me, put it this way. If I was making a desk, he would be on the desk. He wouldn't be commentating because I think having people that are willing to express opinions, bold opinions, make desks better. You've got to have the balls to throw something out there, even sometimes throw it out there with, when it's getting shot down. Maniac should have been on the list. He was a joy to work with at the major. I've known him many, many years as well, as you'd expect with him being a CS aficionado. Always loved that man. And it was just really cool. I felt sorry for him that his first major, was drowned out with all the drama, but it didn't affect his performance. He was an absolute champ, an absolute legend to work with, and just a wonderful man. And again, he's at the top of his game. He definitely should be doing, if you like him, Yanko, Moses, if he doesn't want to cast, these are the guys, that like they're the next level. They're the ones that really know what they're talking about. And is Maniac as wholesome as he seems? There's a devil in there, which is what I like. He's got a bit of naughtiness about him. Very cool dude to hang out with. Great to have a drink with. And somebody that, they understand that if you want to live life to the fullest, you have to open yourself up to extreme possibilities at the time and just let things happen. That's my philosophy. That's why I've got all these like ridiculous stories that everyone goes, that can't be true. They're all true, because I've always said, right, when most people will go, the night's getting weird, I'm out. I go, the night's getting weird, I'm all fucking in. Chips in the middle. Let's see what happens. And Maniac's like not as extreme as I am. He is, but he's about 20%, but he gets it. He gets the way. So I've had, he's just a super cool dude just to be around, like just a fun guy, He was one of the ones that stood tall this major, didn't have any drama, didn't have any disappointments, didn't argue, didn't push back on anything. Just a cool guy, super cool guy, and the best dressed analyst we've ever had, which Yanko will hate me saying that. But it's between him and Yanko. Their fashion sense is outrageously good compared to me, who just looks like a sack of spuds. Ah, there he is. Yanko's in the chat, of course. Yeah. See, I wouldn't leave you out, brother. I wouldn't leave you out. The one name I will say is Jess. For me, I definitely... did I vote for her? I can't even remember. I just love Jess Goat. I think she's brilliant. She is, for me, just like because there were like some absentee names. Like had Maniac been there, I would have definitely voted for Maniac. But Jess Goat is so fucking cool, so funny, like so good on a desk. She does hosting, she does analysis, she does commentary. She's like the Moses of Rainbow Six. She's so fucking good and really funny. As well, and I just think she's great. She brightens up any broadcast she's a part of, and also absolutely, definitely, positively knows her shit and knows what she's talking about. But yeah, a tough one. But anyone speaking ill of Cage will like fuck you, it's a deserved award. Creative piece was G2, Esports Apparel 100 Thieves. Esports Photo of the Year. Cosplay Award now, because of course. Have to have that. Alex Productions, Collegiate Program of the Year. Yeah, and then Coverage Platform of the Year. Yeah, tough. Tough to assess. I like the Esports Observer. It's an essential read for me. Like I say, it recently merged with the Sports Business Journal. If you care about adult esports news, it's sort of where you have to go. It's not that .esports doesn't break bigger stories, because they do, because they got Jacob over there and etc. And as I said, the aforementioned Liz Richardson, if you care about Overwatch. But in Deserto, like shit, man, we're always going to pull into 2-3 massive stories a year. Even if I got to fucking work on them, we'll do that. Inven Global is the sleeper publication, another one I don't think it gets the respect it deserves. They've done big stories. I know Nick over there, obviously, but they also pull a lot of stuff from, for the Korean market that people don't know about. So it's like a little niche. But, if you want to just know which VC group bought which company for how much money and what their quarterly reports look like, and that's my shit, you have to read the Esports Observer. You have to. You have to subscribe to it if that's what you care about. There's no one else does it with as much detail as TEO. So they were there. HLTV, I mean, dude, they can win it every year because they are essential. They're one of the few publications I consider essential. Can you imagine CSGO without HLTV? What that would look like, how that would work, you know? But the real one we've got, when are Liquipedia gonna win an award? That's the fucking site. And it's so fucked up because they're not a journalistic outlet, right? But everybody uses them, and they do sort of chronicle the history of all the games. Are they a supporting service? Well, are they as ubiquitous as Discord? They sort of are technically. Like, there just has to be a Liquipedia award. Because, I'll tell you this, the staff over at Liquipedia, by the way, they recently got acquired by a parent company that owns a betting company or something, because everything in esports is having that treatment. Even with that, for years, it was volunteers. For years. Motherfuckers manually entering brackets, bios, results, history, on their downtime, retroactively adding stuff that's not current, but to flesh out these pages. And I'm telling you, it's, you know, sometimes it's for some esports, it's even more reliable than the official websites, or more timely, quicker. Or sometimes some tournaments just don't have a fucking brackets page anywhere that you could go and look at. It's just Reddit threads or tweets, and you have to go to Liquipedia to sort of get a picture of what's going on. It's insane. And Liquipedia, you might, depending on your proclivities, you might be like, oh, Liquipedia is really good for CS. It's like, no, it's like CS, it's Dota, it's obviously League of Legends, they do fucking PUBG, Valorant, fucking Apex, Rocket League, like, motherfucker, it's like, think about all that work, like, it's insane. It's insane what they do. Yeah, Rainbow Six, obviously StarCraft. It's easy to forget about StarCraft, guys. Give me a break on that one. And let me tell you, all the talent, we're all checking Liquipedia, right? When we're in the green room, looking at other results, stuff like that. If we need to get some facts about recent form, we can literally go there and at a glance see they won their last 3 tournaments or whatever it is. It is invaluable to the infrastructure of the esports industry. And of course, fucking forget the here and now. What are we going to be looking at in 10 years' time? Because all these websites that are here now, like the upcomers of this world, they're gone. They're gone, and it's arguable whether or not they produce anything worth preserving in the first place. You know, we lost Scott Frag. We lost all the content for CGS, all the Too Good interviews, all of my interviews, all of my articles, all of that gone. Gone forever. All the stats on Got Frag, all gone. All the early Halo stuff, gone. Just so much of esports history has literally died because websites went under, and we can't get it back. And that is why Liquipedia must be saved at all costs. At all costs. This is the one site that if it died, every esport would be fucked. And I guarantee you it would take a savant like Thorin to sort of be the guy that comes out and actually remembers everything. I couldn't remember half of it. Oh, I just want them to get an award. Riot Games for broadcast team, talked about that. Commercial partner, Intel. I think that's a good one. They spend so much money and do so many cool initiatives. You know, I'm always, again, the Grand Slam has given, in CS especially, has given a narrative framework that, you know, we really need in an oversaturated landscape. So, yeah, Intel, for sure. I think that's a good one. I mean, I love there's so many great names here that all spend big money and support a lot of esports. Lucky to have all of those brands, so no problems there. And then in the Lifetime Achievement class, which, as I said, I was definitely there for this one. Walshy, again, the problem we got with the Lifetime Achievement class is, at the moment, we're submitting, I think it's 6, and I know there's 7 on the list, but Amy and Amber went in together. So we're submitting 6 a year, and it's like we still haven't got to so many fucking legends that should be in there. It's like, and new legends are obviously ending their careers as we keep going forward. So it's like, you know, How do you do this? So, like I said, Walsh, he was in. That's an easy pick. As I said, I think he should have gone in before now, honestly. Justin Wong, nobody can have an issue with Justin being there. Obviously, Amy and Amber deserve to be in there. I was like one of the people, I was like, listen, like, Miss Harvey's done everything. She was like a world champion multiple times, sort of playing career, segued into working for a developer, doing all this like unbelievable stuff, like completely, massive game changer for esports, not just women's esports. Adam Apicella, obviously. Adam and me don't talk so much these days, but I still got a lot of respect for him. Obviously, that's never going to change. And Adam's a guy that, like, as one of the sort of co-founders at MLG, they changed North American esports forever. And, he's still working over at Esports Engine. And then, listen, people are going to fucking say, oh, Carmack's on the list, lol. Definitely a worthy recipient, and definitely could have gone in before this. I'm sure Thorin will fucking hate me saying that. But the reality is, let's just assess Carmack's achievements. Was a reporter at ES Reality, breaking like Quake news and stuff, if I remember rightly. Goes to SK Gaming, becomes an editor over there. Wins esports scene journalist of the year in like 2006 or 7 or maybe 8. Moves to ESL to go and create content over there. Works his way up through the company to become the head of like product. He is the guy that basically managed the Intel sponsorship for all that time, created the Intel Extreme Masters, so hugely important to what we're doing. That's him. Then he sold out and gone corporate or whatever. But, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you can be a sellout and still add value to the business, can't you? So, done that, then obviously, basically also, and I'm sure this will also be a bone of contention, but, did bring... did create Katowice essentially, which Katowice's got like a, it's sort of a bit like having an IEM in a Newcastle or a Sunderland, because it's the industrial heartland of Poland. But he's, the Spodek Arena's legit. They've created a lot of jobs, a lot of growth. It's been really good for Katowice, and they've had some legendary events down the years, Katowice. So I get it. It's not the greatest, holiday destination in terms of things to do, but it's coming up, man. It's like I can identify with that. I'm like, it was all mining and steel. That's where I'm from. I'm from mining and steelworks. That's my family. It's in the core of my being. So I totally get it. Never sort of had a problem about Katowice at all. Like I say, legendary events. So Carmack's already done everything that you can do sort of at the highest level in each field he's worked in. And is still active. So, yeah, I mean, I just thought these were all great inductees. And I know we're still waiting on some crazy names. We've still got to get round to certain players and... but it's just going to take time. I think my recommendation was that they increase the induction rate, because otherwise, it's going to be like 3 years down the line and fucking Neo isn't going to be in or something like that, So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the awards on this glorious Thanksgiving Day. And I'm sure some of those statements are going to be controversial and picked through, and maybe some of them aren't. Maybe not. Maybe I can have a quiet life. Who knows?